Good evening, my fellow Americans. I apologize for interrupting your regularly scheduled programming, but a fleet of what we could call flying saucers has entered the Earth's atmosphere. And because of this, Hauntformer is going to talk about Mars attacks! Mars Attacks is a 1996 horror comedy directed by none other than Tim Burton. And it stars literally everyone. Jack Nicholson, Pierce Brosnan, Sarah Jessica Parker, Matthew Broderick, Tom Jones, Danny DeVito, Jack Nicholson because he plays two characters, in what should be a more favorite movie of mine, and we're going to talk about all of that in just a second because we're talking about Mars Attacks. Did I mention that? Yeah. Happy Independence Day, happy 4th of July to my American viewers. To those who are outside of the US, hope you're having a great day too. I know it was Canada Day a few days ago to our neighbors from the north, so happy Canada Day to you too. But it's 4th of July, come on, let's be real. And though the Martian invasion is a worldwide phenomenon in the context of Mars Attacks, it's heavily seen through an American lens. We have Jack Nicholson playing the US president, we have Jack Black in the movie as a US Army soldier. It's got a lot of American themes going on and a lot of venues of the states. We go from like the desert Nevada, we have Las Vegas, we have, I don't know, it just shows a whole bunch of different places. I mean, we do show like the Taj Mahal and places in other parts of the world, but it's America predominant. I'm talking about it, okay? Alright? There aren't a ton of patriotic horror movies, which is kind of unfortunate because I feel like there's a lot to do there. I've talked about The Purge before, I've talked about House before. I will talk about Uncle Sam probably next year. I need to rewatch it to get fresh opinions on it. But we're talking about Mars Attacks. And if I'm avoiding talking about Mars Attacks, it's because there's a lot and a little to say about the movie. A lot happens in Mars Attacks, but also nothing happens, because the main plot of the movie is based upon a series of bubblegum trading cards from the 1960s. These cards were very graphic. I can't even show many of them on screen for you right now. You can look them up if you have a morbid sense of curiosity, but these were made for kids back in the 60s. Caused a big stir. They got pulled from shelves, and I think that made them even more popular, if you can believe it. Makes sense, though. The Mars Attacks cards were really cool. I mean, really grotesque, giant bugs, big robots, aliens, my favorite stuff, murdering tons of innocent people across the world. And it later became a second series of cards in the 80s, I believe, called Dinosaurs Attack. Same basic premise, but you swap out aliens for dinosaurs. Same havoc. And rumor has it that Tim Burton wanted to make a movie about dinosaurs attacks. But lo and behold, Jurassic Park came out in the early 90s and he had to scrap that idea in favor for The Martians, which I'm happy about, but I would be curious if he came back and did dinosaur attacks today to see how that would change. Nevertheless, the reason I mentioned the trading cards is because the trading cards had a very simple plot, if you even want to call it that. Martians go to Earth and start killing people, and then the Earth goes to Mars and tries to blow up Mars. That's the entire plot. There's not much of a plot. And the movie also doesn't have much of a plot. The movie feels like it's made as a joke. The Martians have no motive for what they're doing. They do it for kicks and giggles. They just like killing people. It really feels like Gremlins, where the Gremlins have no real motivation. They have nothing they're aiming for. They're just crazy and seeking to create havoc. And I can get behind that, but there are a few things that Gremlins does so very well that Mars Attacks misses out on. First and foremost, the Martians in the movie are all CGI, and I really think if they were animatronics or puppets, it would really help the movie out to give it that camp feel, because this movie is trying to be like a 1950s sci-fi B-movie. And it's hard to really get that when they're all in the computer and you can tell like Jack Black or whatever is pointing at a Martian and it's not really there. It's not the same. Heck, even if you wanted to do that whole it's not in the frame with the actor, do stop motion. The stop motion would look corny as all heck. But it would at least get the point across that this movie is meant to be very campy. And it is, and you can tell there are a lot of very funny scenes in the movie. But again, just to solidify that notion. There are some great moments, though. One in particular is when they're trying to usher the president and the first lady out of the White House, and there's a tour going on.
Can we go this way?
Sorry, ma'am. There's a tour going through here.
There's a tour this way, ma'am. I love that. And I also love when the Martians are like shooting everyone, and they have a speaker, and it's saying, "Don't run. We are your friends." And just killing random people.
Don't run. We are your friends.
Well, there's some good moments. I do wish the movie was a bit more nihilistic and dark. The trading cards are very dark, very gory, and very graphic. And I almost wish the movie tapped into that a bit more. I feel like it could be more cynical. You have the president, and I feel like there could be like an angle. I know Red Letter Media, in their kind of review of this movie, discussed that if the president was maybe a bit more dastardly in trying to think of ways to, how can I win over voters with my stance with the Martians? I feel like that would make it more interesting rather than just the aliens just start shooting everybody. Which is fun, don't get me wrong, people turn into green skeletons and melt and turn into goo, and the aliens take Sarah Jessica Parker's head and put it on a dog, and it's like, okay, that's really weird, and I guess it's kind of funny. Seems very Tim Burton-y, but what's kind of the point of all this? And there is no point. They just like doing this, and then the movie ends with Tom Jones catching a bird and singing, "It's not unusual." Which, I love that part. Spoilers, in case you haven't seen the movie, but the way they kill all the Martians is playing Slim Whitman's Indian Love Call. Ooh, I hit the wrong, sorry. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And you realize that yodeling kind of sounds like a classic sci-fi theremin. Ooh, ooh. You ever notice that? I don't know, it's just a thing I picked up on, like country music and science fiction. I digress. There's a lot, again, I could say about Mars Attacks. Interesting set pieces, funny gags. The Martian designs look pretty cool. Not as good as the trading cards, but pretty cool. The ack, very classic. Like I said, there are moments that are good in the movie, mostly in the first half. As we shift to more crazy stuff, I don't know, it doesn't quite hold up as well for me. I'd still probably overall give the movie probably a 3.5, I'd say, out of 5. It's fun, it's a fun watch, it's solid, but again, there's no like, besides maybe Jack Nicholson playing the president, which again is kind of a stale role for him, but he does it pretty well. You know, when he's like, "We have 2 branches of our government left, and that ain't bad."
I want the people to know that they still have 2 out of 3 branches of the government working for them, and that ain't bad.
Like, he has some good moments, but overall it's just very blasé with the characters. The plot and the Martian invasion is the focal point, but it's a very simplistic focal point, and just like the cards, you may or may not remember it. It's weird that this movie isn't more of a higher mark in my horror comedy catalog, because I love the idea of like a B-movie alien invasion so much. But I don't know, it doesn't quite hit all of the landings. It's good, it's got some very funny moments, moments that really make me laugh. I do like the grandma who is Judo, if you didn't know, from Beetlejuice. And she's like, these guys look very sick when the alien head blows up.
Richie, I think these guys are very sick.
Good stuff. Overall, kind of a crazy mess, sort of like this review of me hopping all over the place here. As a whole package, could use some cleaning up. Takes a lot of homage from the trading cards. It even shows scenes from the cards, which is nice to see. But the individual scenes almost work better than the sum of its parts. That's Mars Attacks. Hope you have a great 4th, and if you hear loud banging, just remember it's fireworks and probably not an invasion from a foreign planet. Remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.